We'll call a meeting to order. This is the Michigan City Port Authority Board of Directors meeting for Monday, August 21st, 2017. I welcome everyone here. We're glad to see you. Expect to have a nice meeting this evening. Our first order of business is going to be to approve or amend the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any questions or comments? Questions or comments? Hearing none, those who favor the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And we approve the minutes. The next item on our agenda is giving our public guest an opportunity to make any statement they want to make. And I know we have one particular individual here with a special mission. I would like for the Port Authority, I would like for the harbor master to introduce this guest.
Yeah, tonight Mr. Jerry Sullivan is with us. He's the engineer with the LaPorte County Highway Department. And he and I met with Marcus Electric this morning to look at some proposed work on the edge of the George property in support of the Franklin Street Bridge. You may have seen in the paper a while back, the county was looking at an emergency repair on the bridge because the conduit under the creek that contains the power and control cables for the other side of the bridge is full of water. So the county is planning on boring 2 new conduits through there, or at least 2 conduits, I think, for new control and power cables. And in order to get under the seawall that we put in over at Millennium Plaza with the boring tool, they have to go in off of the George property. And then the telephone pole that has the transformers on it that power the bridge is right in that neighborhood. And what they would like to do is attach some electrical enclosures to that concrete retaining wall on the east edge of the property there, and then run some conduit from that underground right along that wall and into the bridge. Now, as part of that, they'll be adding a conduit that then the city can run fiber line under, so we can get fiber internet in the future, maybe not too distant future at that. So the county asked that since technically we own that property, if the board would be willing to give them their blessing on mounting the electrical enclosures. They're not real big. They'll attach to the concrete wall. There's a jog in the wall. So from the parking lot, they'll kind of blend right in. You really won't even directly see them. I didn't see anything wrong with what they're trying to do. So I talked to Joe today, and he put together a little memorandum of understanding that he handed out to everybody. And Mr. Sullivan is here to answer any questions that we might have. And assuming that all goes well, I would ask that we adopt this resolution so they can get to work on that. The current plan, they would like to do the boring shortly after Labor Day. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So unless I'll try to answer anybody's question, or Mr. Sullivan can answer anybody's question.
Mr. Sullivan, do you have a statement you'd like to make?
I know, I believe everything's been covered. I do know that there's urgency to get this done because of the bridge. There's no more redundancy in the wiring, so if something does go wrong, the bridge is out of commission. That's why we want to, pursue this and get this taken care of. Yes, sir.
All the parties happy with all the little conditions that might come up on something like this? Are there any question marks out there that need to be ironed out?
The only one I have left is the Corps of Engineers. I'm working with them, trying to get their approval. They said they would ram it through. I sent them the plans that I have. They see no problem with it. It's just a matter, it's basically formality with them right now. The DNR is good with everything, and I did good with everything.
Mr. Sacktoon, you comfortable with it from the legal?
Yeah, I could just briefly talk about the memorandum of understanding that I prepared. It's very similar to MOUs that have been prepared for a place before the board before. It's very short, very to the point. Ownership will be with the county. We grant, as the Port Authority, permission to install the electrical boxes, as Mr. Frame described. There's a waiver of claims that waives any claims against the Port Authority, its employees, officers, directors, etc. The county will be responsible for securing any additional permits that they need. They'll have adequate insurance, and they'll be responsible for all the payments. So all we're doing is granting permission to locate the electrical. There's also one of the whereas clauses, it's the fourth whereas clause. The county is aware of the environmental restrictions governing portions of the George property. And Mr. Sullivan, the only thing I would need you is, do you know if you have authority to bind the county, or is there someone?
I will check on that. I've only been in this position as the engineer for about 6 months. I haven't had to sign anything like this yet, so I will get with council and make sure that we will take care of it. We sign it.
Okay, very good. Thank
The
you.
county's already appropriated the money for the project. So, yes, sir.
The existing cable and all that's underneath the bridge, will that remain there, just be shut off or cut off?
It will be left in place, but it will be eliminated from use. It will no longer be in use. That's correct.
It'll be cut off and left in place?
Yes, so the new conduit will supply, there'll be new wiring running the conduit, and that's going to be rewired to the bridge. So it'll have all the wiring at that point, at least underground wiring.
What's causing the water problem?
It's old. I think it was put in, I did a little research on the project. I think it was put in like in 1903. And they actually built a coffer dam, and they blocked the water, built a coffer dam around it, and buried the pipe underneath the channel. And that cost was $19,000. I gotta get that out. But yeah, it will be abandoned, and that's the reason. It's just old. It's old and dilapidated.
Will you have any heavy equipment down in that area that
There will be a mini backhoe. There will not be large equipment, but there will be a backhoe there to tie in. Once they bore in underneath the creek or the channel, they have to find the tube that they bored in, and they'll try to come up as high as they can and leave enough tubes so that they have enough, conduit there to tie in. So it will not be a large backhoe, but it will be a mini backhoe.
is there access for you to get a backhoe down
Yes,
to that
yes, there is.
without destructing any of the, I don't know if it's blocks on there, bricks or concrete?
Yeah, no, it's a rubber. It'll be a rubber flat back. It won't be. Yeah, they'll use a small rubber. Yes.
On the Millennium Plaza side, they're up near the sidewalk, and they're actually in the right-of-way for the bridge. They're in a grass area just adjacent to the sidewalk. It's just on the south side of the bridge where they're actually, the way the wall sits there and the way the sidewalks are, they're just off of the right-of-way onto the property that we own. But on the other side of the bridge, they're in their own right-of-way, so they're good to go.
You mentioned something about fiber optics and wiring. I'm sorry, what did you say? Are they putting in some
Well, as part of this, there'll be a conduit put in that at some later date, a fiber cable can be run
can
through.
be run through at a
Yeah.
later date? Okay.
At least
My
I think
understanding is
it's,
that's to be used for some cameras and things to watch the piers for the
Right.
city.
But how deep underground will you be going?
We have to go under the retaining wall, which is 35 feet, 32 feet. So we gotta go 30, at least 35 feet.
Interesting.
Not from the ground level, not from
Yes,
the roof?
35 feet down. We'll bore in at an angle and then turn it back up on the other side of the channel.
Cool. Interesting.
Lloyd, I think we've had pretty good explanation of the issue. And I would simply ask the board if there's some member who would like to make a motion, we approve this memorandum of understanding and consequently give the county our blessing to go ahead with their project.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second to approve the memorandum of understanding, which includes with it the permission for the county to go ahead and do the work as they requested. Do I have any questions or comments? Questions or comments? Hearing none, those who favor the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Congratulations, Mr. Sullivan.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the agenda.
Okay,
Do you memorandum of understanding, and you want me to take that with me? Do you want to email it to me?
I've got a copy here for you. And what we'll do is we'll exchange signature pages.
Okay, very good.
while he's here, that requires my signature.
Yes, it does.
Why don't we sign it now so that he won't have to make the trip?
Well, thank you very much. I hope this got it. Great.
Sign two of them. Each paper has one. This is just down one.
I think everybody here realizes you're considered great part of the service.
What was that?
No, I said, I think everyone here realizes the emergency. For emergency services.
Where they're coming up, they're not actually in Millennium Plaza. They're up by the road.
It's gonna take that timeline.
They're going to get the conduit in as soon as possible, trying to get it in the week after Labor Day weekend.
They're starting on the far side.
The wiring isn't urgent at that point, because even if they do have an issue, they will have the strands and they can wire the problem rather than wire the whole bridge. The whole bridge is going to be rewired.
Okay, cool.
I have one more question.
Yes,
Is
sir.
the bridge going to be shut down for all of this?
No, it will not.
It will not.
It might be shut down temporarily. I don't think it can be shut down. They're going to have to rewire it. It won't be shut down for the warrant. But during the rewiring process, there might be an instance where for a couple hours or so, it might have to be shut down when they're rewiring the motors and doing some things like that. But it won't be shut down for any extended period.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. May we have the Port Authority or the Harbor Master's report?
Yeah, the one other thing I wanted to touch on this evening, I talked to Mr. Hasselberg up at Edgewater Resources. The final bidding date closes this Friday for our rack project. Currently, he has 3 bids, and then after Friday, he'll assemble everything that he has for that and expects to have information for us at the first meeting in September, which I believe is the 11th.
Is that Colin?
Yeah,
I didn't know his last name.
I may be saying it wrong, but it's long. And that's all I have for now, unless anybody has any questions.
Troy, you have questions of the Harbor Master? Questions of the Harbor Master? How about, is there any news at all on the park master plan?
The only thing that I'm aware of on that is I've been corresponding with Mr. Keenitz, the park superintendent, on some survey work for the various parcels. I did locate a survey that shows the marina boundary from, it's either 1973 or 1975. But I think to do the work that we want to do, we'll need some individual ones of certain areas. You know, we'll need the actual road strip that we're looking at, we'll need the part of the parking lot on the east side, and then whatever we do over here with the grass area. So I've not actually met with Mr. Keenitz yet, but I did find the other survey. We've been exchanging emails, so I think that's our next step, is to line somebody up to survey those 3 parcels.
Mr. Freese, representing the Park Department, have you got any news at all on the schedule?
No.
Well, you know, the plan was, as it was originally discussed with us, is to create the new parking this fall.
That still may happen. I just don't have the
It's
timeline.
getting pretty late.
That's great summer.
And I would ask Mr. Satnoon, have you had any additional contact on the surveys?
Nelson Picardo, the attorney for the park board, and I have been exchanging emails We are talking about the surveys. We're also talking about resolutions. What the park board would do is they would draft a resolution that would effectively cede the ownership of the property to Port Authority that they're giving away, and then the Port Authority would do the same by resolution, give the property that they are going to receive from the Port Authority. I believe that Mr. Picardo is going to have some title work done on their side. We've already taken care of that on our side.
Okay, I would just hope that there's nothing at the Port Authority that would delay this process.
Not from our end.
Okay. Before we move on, is there anything else for the harbor master? Mrs. Palicki, may we have your report, please?
Next month, our meeting will be the 2nd and the 4th Monday due to a Labor Day, so it'll be September 11th and the 25th. Right now, we're getting ready this week to send out the winter storage agreements. You also have the occupancy and revenue statistics. Last month, and also on the second page, that you have the summer winter storage, that those bills have run out and are coming in now too. And the summer storage is a totally separate thing from the winter storage. It's the boats that haven't went in the water that are still sitting at Trail Creek Marina. That's all I have.
Roy, do you have questions, Mrs. Palicki?
I have one question for you, Mary Ann. The 35-foot, 52 vacancies that we have, is that high, low, or is that average, or is it seems high to me.
Well, it's been about average for us the last couple of years. It's just that there's so many more of those slips than there are any other size we have. You know, it's all of the 600, half of it's 800, and half of the 700. So we have more of those than we do other slips.
I wonder if we could think about next year putting together some kind of marketing plan to market those 35-foot slips. I know that's the one we usually have the most of.
You know, if we, it's a double-edged sword. If we don't have these open slips, we're not going to get transients. They don't want to come if they can't have a reservation. And I says, like last weekend or the weekend before for the boat ride, we rented out every slip that we had.
Okay.
And we do monthly rentals on some of those, so they're not, we're still making income on them.
All right, thank you.
Bruce, I have that same question, but then I can't find the answer to it, because if we modified those slips, for example, to try to rent more of them, what size would we modify them to?
Yeah.
And where is the surplus from that other size?
It's a double-edged sword.
And once again, I take you back to the mid-90s, when we did the master plan on this marina. We did an extensive survey on the trend for slip sizes. And the question just kept coming back: 35s and 40s and 45s, 35s, 40s and 45s. So that's what we did.
Right.
And we filled them. But the recreational boating scene has changed dramatically. And ever since we got into the recession thing, we just have had a problem filling that size boats. And I think the professionals in the recreational boating industry, Mary Ann and Tim, keep reminding us that 35s were once really a popular size, but with the customers and with the boaters, it's not a popular size anymore. So somewhere there's an answer we haven't found it yet.
Well, it's refreshing to see that all the 45s are in it. That's a good thing.
Yeah, you know, you look at that report and you can truthfully say that we have several different sizes of slips in Washington Park Marina that would require a waiting list. And that's good.
Okay, thank you.
In addition to that, Bruce, I can't remember where I heard it over the last month. It might have been from Tim on a quick conversation, but I think you were saying that, you know, since we built these all of these slips in the 90s or had the engineering work done on it, that now there have been several other marinas around the southern part of the lake that have also increased theirs, and so it's not necessarily just because we did what we did, it's now we've got other marinas that have put more slips together. I think you said something like that.
Okay, Mrs. Blicky, now, the board has changed fees in some respects. The website,
We will do that in October when the bills go out, because we still have people looking at slips and that now.
okay,
All the rates will be changed in the beginning of October.
okay. Mr. Garrett, may we have the financial report, please?
Sure. I am only going to touch on 3 items on our list, our docket. Looks like a large number, but once I explain these 3 items, that will pretty much take about 80% of it. So if you look about a quarter of the way down, it's about 7 down for $4,190.80. That's our water and sanitation bill. And then if you go about halfway down, or about 9 down from where we just were, for $7,575. That is for computer upgrades. And 2 down from there for $75,941.18. That is fuel for resale. And if you add those 3 items together, it totals $87,706.98, and that leaves just shy of $9,000 for the other 26 items on this list. So, like I said, once you see that, it's actually very small considering. Is there any questions? Do you have the answer? Otherwise, I'd make a motion that we pay our bills as presented.
Prayer motion second to pay the bills as they have been advertised. Do you have questions or comments?
Just one on the computer upgrades yourself. Could somebody just, is that just office or is that part of the city system? Or?
No, it's our custom marina software.
Okay.
We went through and redid the entire program. The previous one had gotten to be 10 years old, and over time we've been patching little bits and changing little things. So in talking to Mr. Lobsong, he's like, at this point it might be worth just upgrading the whole thing. And that's what we did, and I think we're pretty much happy with it. And there's a little bit of a learning curve because he's moved some stuff around a little bit, but it also gives us some features that we didn't have before. For instance, now we can do a dock check with a tablet. So you just walk down the dock and click whether the boat's there or not, and it automatically updates in the system. We can do overnight rentals from that tablet out at the gas dock, so we don't have to try to quick throw together an open slip list and take it out to the gas dock. We can just leave a tablet out there and they can see what all's available in real time and do it. And once we get the Wi-Fi working at Trail Creek, we'll be able to do ramp receipts and stuff on that tablet as well. So,
Good to be a real techie.
we're trying.
Thank you.
I would assume that you're still within budget.
Yeah. We are.
Okay, we have a motion second. Any other comments? Call for the vote. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Pay our bills. Do you have anything else, Mr. Garrett?
That is all.
Thank you. Mr. Manor, claims insurance and park liaison.
Well, just a few couple things about the park. The Splash Park is going to be closed on Mondays and Tuesdays because all the kids have gone back to school. These are employees of the park department, and they don't have enough staff to cover that. So they're going to be closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. And the lifeguards are only going to be working on weekends because of the same thing. They're all back in school and stuff, so they're only going to be working the weekend. I don't remember the dates on that. Maybe Phil remembers them. I don't know when they're going to.
Well, they'll continue to collect parking until Labor Day, and then they'll go 2 weeks past that.
Okay.
At the end, after Labor Day.
Well, I was talking about the splash park, Monday and Tuesdays.
No, it's just after Labor Day, there'll be nothing.
Be nothing, okay, so it ends in Labor Day, okay, thank you. And as far as the insurance goes, I called our insurance carrier, and at this point, General Insurance has not received confirmation that there is a coverage under the insurance of the person that had the accident. They say they have coverage, but they don't have confirmation of that yet, and they're having trouble getting confirmation of it. GIS has submitted a claim to the Port Authority carrier for the damage to the trailer. They asked the owner to submit it to his insurance company, but he refused to do that. He said he didn't want to do that. And he's certainly within his rights to do that. So Charlie Keene also told me that the claim should have little or no effect on our 2018 premium. It's one of the questions I threw at him because it's not a court litigated case. And because of the stellar record that we've maintained over the years, that we probably will notice little or no increase in our premium for 2018 as a result of this accident, even if we have to pay some of the claim. If GIS is able to confirm coverage from the accident, sure, the dynamics of this insurance probe may change completely, but as of this point, they haven't been able to, and Charlie doesn't know if they will be able to. He's dealing with an insurance company that they have dealt with in the past and haven't had very good responses from them. So that's where we stand right now with the accident from Trail Creek.
Is there any way we could go ahead and order the new fence?
Well, we probably could, if that's what you guys want to do.
No, I guess I'd throw that out as a question, not as a,
I
don't want to pay for it.
I think that requires some research.
I was really asking Tim if that's something that he'd.
Well, I got the quote for it today,
Okay.
but I thought we'd give the insurance a little more time to
Sounds good.
work itself out.
Is just in theory, I mean, our deductible based off of this versus what the fence would cost to
I want
repair?
to say our deductible is $5,000.
Yes.
Yeah,
And it was $6,600 and some odd dollars to repair.
splitting hairs at
Yeah.
that point.
Is the fence in the condition it's in now, does it pose a safety risk?
No, we put some temporary fence up that we had from last year.
The previous accident. And
Yeah.
I don't know who would be able to answer this, but the trailer that is owned by someone else, is that our responsibility?
They were paying us to store it for them.
Okay. Interesting.
Good answer.
So your answer is yes. Okay. Anything else from Mr. Manor? Nice report, Bruce, thank you. Mr. Ferguson, do you have anything on Astor Planning?
Nothing other than what Mr. Frame already talked about on the wrecks, so no, I have nothing else to add.
Okay. Mr. Messina, forward communications, special events?
I do have a couple of things. I noticed there's a large vessel over here by Millennium Park. Is that something somebody's going to report on?
It's the Sturgeon. It's a ship that GIS and NOAA use to service weather buoys and stuff.
Oh.
They pass through here periodically and stay a night or two. So it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's just not a daily thing.
Okay, that's out there a couple days ago, I guess. Maybe another thing to report on. Remember last meeting I talked about the octane level that we had in our fuel. And the pumps all said 87 was our octane rating. And those were the old pumps, and the stickers that on them probably so faded, probably couldn't read it anyhow. But when we got the new pumps in, we got the new stickers that said 87. And I asked through the president, office staff to go ahead and check to see if that was correct, because we had lost some business because of being 87%. They did that, did a nice thorough job, got back to Rackham and asked them what fuel are they delivering to us. Was it 87 or 89, what it was? Doing his research, the last time we've gotten fuel, it's been 91. So we are receiving 91, with just about the highest octane level that you can go for marine use, and it's even required by a lot of the marine engines and such. So they did order new stickers, and they came in within a couple days, and I know they're on the pumps now, so our people should be happy, and that should close that out.
Is that going to make our voters happy?
I think so, yeah. They'll realize they're paying a little more for fuel, but they're getting a premium fuel for that.
Okay, good.
So I was pleased with that. We did have a meeting a week ago Saturday, voters communication in here, and I think there were 10 of us in the room, so it was a pretty good turnout. Mr. Frank pretty much conducts it all. Some of the major things he talked about, our 21st century solar equipment, what he's talking about, and the equipment that's going to be going under the Frankfurt Street Bridge. Kind of updated people on the park master plan as much as he knew that we could really, I guess, relay. Some of the Wi-Fi updates, which talked to some of the voters as their response times, being able to log on, off, such, and I think most of it was pretty positive on that. Talked about recycling. There was some concern about the number of jet skis we have and maybe keeping them controlled in their speed, especially along the 800 going from the ramp out to the lake. I think we've come up with a few plans for that. That's what I wrote down. Those are some of the major things. Most of the comments that came from the voters were positive. So you realize they come here to not really vent disapproval of anything, but they do talk about things that maybe they'd like to see changed or updated or upgraded. They did realize in the past there was always something almost every weekend over at the park that they were able to walk over there and hear bands or see something going on. But with the Summerfest committee dissolved, there's not as much activity. And we talked about Blue Chip not having the luncheon this year, or us having the voter appreciation lunches that we used to in the past. So we're going to do a little research into that. They also talked about possibly a fish fry. And I brought that up, where you have a lake trout boil or something, because the senior center no longer has theirs. So then I guess a lot of our voters would take the opportunity to go over there on a Friday night and eat the fish. So we have talked about that. I think something will come up of it for future years. And that was in the positive. But overall, I think the response was pretty good on things that we're doing, and to keep it up. And that's what I have.
Thank you. Gordon? Questions, comments? Thank you.
Dan, do we get a representative from each of the docks?
Not quite each one. A couple of them have a couple of them. I think, I don't know if there's anybody from 100, I don't know where actually everybody comes from. A lot of people I don't really know, although when I make a walk about every weekend up and down every dock, I usually say hello to people and recognize them.
I'd like to suggest that when you have these meetings, to have them sign in and sign what dock they're from.
I think you do. I think you do.
Yeah.
I never review that. Mr. Frame probably knows which dock. Are we pretty much covered by all of them?
No, there's a couple gaps. I don't think anybody has come from Trail Creek for some years. I think we may not have anybody currently on the 100 West.
Right.
7 and 800 are fairly well represented. There may have been 3 people, 4 even, from those 2 docks. I'm not sure if we have anybody from 600 currently. It's kind of spotty.
Yeah.
I guess my other question would be then, do you think if we reach out to those docks that don't attend these meetings, maybe just reach out to them through some kind of communication and
We
invite them again?
usually do ask for volunteers every spring, for people that want to do it. And we could
Yeah,
set that up a
but
little.
you've had people go in after spring, that, maybe there's,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they're all aware of it, just if they have nothing to talk about, to bring up, they probably don't show. We talked about the number of meetings, I think last year or 2 years ago, we cut it back from, I believe, 4 meetings. 5 meetings down to 4?
3.
Down to 3, okay. And they asked about the first meeting in, having it in April,
May.
having the first one in May, and that's one of the ones we cut out. So kind of talk that over too, and probably leave it up to the staff here to decide if it's worth having one, if there's enough boats in the water. This year, they probably would not have that. But if we got enough representative and things, we'd probably add that with the board permission for May meeting.
And do they ever bring up things that they're interested in improving in the marina, rather than just complaints or anything?
Well, you're right, yeah.
Sure response. Go ahead.
I don't know, maybe some of the finger piers, how we can raise them and lower them, a lot of positive things. I don't know of anything that they said they'd like to see other than activities, things to do.
I think it would be very interesting to the board to know if they're actually asking for some improvements, because we never hear anybody asking us to do something for them that we could possibly do, or possibly tell them, no, we can't do it, you know, I mean, it's...
I'd like to respond to that, because I go to these Saturday morning meetings pretty regularly, just because I do. And a lot of the stuff that they do bring up about maybe improvements or so, I can see these two always coordinating back and forth to take a look at, take care of it. Now, I guess to specifically answer your question, I don't know if it gets updated, but I know Harbor Master and the Assistant Harbor Master do talk about those and write them down, and I'm sure they review that. So I think they're probably taking a good hard look at those. Yeah, because I know what you're talking about, and I hear a few things also.
Well, I've had people walk up to me and tell me, you know, hey, why don't you do this, and why don't you do that? And my response to them is, come to a meeting, bring it up to the board, or go to the dock committee meetings and bring it up to the dock committee people, and they can bring it to the board.
And Tim and Mary Ann both encourage them to just pick up the phone, call anytime also.
Yeah, and that's real key, because
That's a good point.
any questions like that, or comments like that, or conversations like that, will get a good, positive reception from either one of these two people. And it would surprise me that some of our customers would feel like they'd have to see a board member or come to a board meeting to express the concern or even a request for some kind of special event. I just think that these two employees have such a positive image and record of responding to customers that everybody ought to feel really comfortable coming to them.
My main thought about all that is just trying to open up lines of communication with our customers. I mean, I think that's very important.
That's right.
And I feel I do by walking up and down the docks and just exposing myself. Occasionally I'll wear a shirt that has the Port Authority, and I'll go stop and ask. I think we have that. It's something we do not hear, probably the most common thing, is the dog walk. Some of the dogs without leashes that aren't being picked up afterwards. We didn't hear anything on that. The parking that we have is always a big concern, and I don't think we really heard anything on that. Our emergency channel 9, there's been some communication on that, and I think after the meeting, the three of us kind of come up with a resolution on what to do with the emergency phone number, the emergency channel, radio channel, and your answering machine.
Okay, is there anything else?
That's all I have.
Thank you, Dan. Regarding port operations, I have nothing to report. If there's any questions, I'll accept them. Mrs. Meir, advertising, public relations.
I have nothing to report. I'd like to bring up some things with the board, or some suggestions. You know, the city did hire a events coordinator, Keisha Pate, and you know, I just realized that this is an avenue that we can possibly use for some of those things you were mentioning about boat slips, you know, marketing, if you so choose, but also listening to Mr. Messina, listening to some of the boaters missing the concerts, fish fry, things like that. It's possible, you know, if someone does decide to take up some of those responsibilities, or maybe connect with some of the things that are going on in the city, that Keisha Pate, the events coordinator, is available to assist with that. And the good part about it is it would be no additional cost to us. So I think that that's a good resource for us to maybe, you know, start considering, because that's what that position is for, to, you know, help to work out any kinks that maybe the entities are having, to collaborate together, you know, to maybe spin off of each other when things are occurring in the city. So I thought I'd make that point. You know, it's easy to forget. But really, that's what that position is about, the events coordinator.
Mrs. Mayor, I totally agree with your comment and your suggestion. And it seems to me that one of the things that ought to happen very soon is for the harbor master to make contact with the events coordinator and ask him to come down, look the place over, and maybe have a nice luncheon session. Talk about the possibility
Yeah.
of
Keisha Pate.
putting things together.
Talk to her once.
I think we can really get a lot of additional, you know,
Publicity.
yeah, exactly. And that may be a way to get some of these different activities that are, you know, not occurring now. You know, if the city is doing something, you guys will be privy to it, and maybe, you know, the Port Authority can, you know, kind of.
I like that idea.
I like it too.
You know, Mrs. Mayor, an important point to consider here is that I think it would really be beneficial for the events coordinator to realize that there are over 1,000 people here on the weekends on boats
Right.
that are potential customers to all the events that are happening downtown. It's all within walking distance.
Exactly.
And they're all looking for something to do. They're not always on their boats.
Right.
Okay, good.
Good point.
Do you have anything else, Mrs. Mayor?
No, that's it.
Or do you have questions, Mrs. Mayor? If not, may we have the attorney's report, Mr. Zachman?
Certainly, at the beginning of the meeting, I handed out individual packets that contain the resolution adopting the internal control policy. I still need Mr. Haynes to sign it. I was hoping he was going to be at the meeting here today. So what I'll do is I'll secure his signature and then make copies and pass that along for everyone so they'll have a complete copy. Then when I get his signature, I'll send that along to the State Board of Accounts. So we will have fulfilled our obligation to notify the State Board of Accounts that we've adopted the policy and give them a copy of the policy. And Mr. President, that's all I have, unless anyone has any questions.
I don't think you have my signature either, do you?
I don't think you were present.
I wasn't present.
You were present when,
Okay.
and Mrs. Meir wasn't present either.
Okay.
But we had a quorum and it was
Fine, it's fine.
Joe, the cardboard dash document,
Yes.
where is that?
Well, I don't recall what we decided at the last meeting, if I should be the one that would circulate that to the powers that be, or if maybe the harbor master was going to do that. I'm happy either way. I could send it out if you'd like me to.
Well, I just think that, you know, the decision has been made. That's an important decision. And it needs to have visibility as early as possible so that we don't get into another big situation next spring. I think we ought to circulate it, get it out to the appropriate parties. And does it contain the signatures it should contain?
I believe it does. I think all we required was, because it was voted on at a board meeting, it's reflected in the minutes, and then you as the president sign the actual resolution.
I think you ought
Or
to
the
get it,
statement.
I think you ought to get it out to the appropriate parties.
Okay. I'll send it to the mayor. Is there anyone else that should be on the official list? And we should also maybe have it where it could be handed out to someone if someone comes in and asks about it.
When that request is made by the Cardboard Dash people, will it not go to the Board of Works first?
I believe it will.
So they ought to be on the mailing list.
Yeah.
Do you think Ed Butner should also receive a copy of that?
I'm
Do
sorry?
you think Ed Butner should also receive a copy of that?
Why not?
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead.
He's the one that runs the Cardboard Boat Dash.
Yeah. Good suggestion, Bruce.
I'm thinking, Mr. Haynes, who kind of coordinates it through us, through Mr. Buhner, and I think he orders all the cardboard that comes in, so he's part of the event also.
So, hey.
We're looking for him.
I'll get those out tomorrow.
Okay, and of course, Dan, if this doesn't get past the city, it's not going to get to us anyhow.
Right.
But we accept your suggestion. Okay. Okay, is there anything else?
yes, I have just a quick question for Joe. What you handed out was in the folder. That's somewhat similar to what's been handed out before, I think. Is this like the master copy other than having Mr. Haynes' signature?
Yes, that is in fact what it is.
So I can dump everything at the...
Right, you don't need any of the prior materials. Yeah, this is the official policy that was duly adopted.
The inch of paperwork, I have it at home like this, I can...
I've got a little bit more than an inch.
Okay, thank you.
I'll hold on to mine.
Any other questions? Mr. Zachman? Do we have any old business? Any old business? Mr. Cooper?
I have nothing to
Phil, you have anything you'd like to say? Okay. Then the chair will accept a motion for adjournment.
Move we adjourn.
I'll second it.
We're adjourned. Thank you, board.
Do it silently.